Hello everyone, and welcome. If you're coming from my Internet Archive tutorial, translation tutorial, welcome. If you're just on some of the other places like BTS, which is an abbreviation or acronym for the Behind the Scenes channel, Adrifting, possibly War. If you're just a passing web novel reader, or just curious about Chinese internet and language and slang, that's great. Welcome as well. If you somehow got recommended this, you are probably lost and should click on another video. I'm kind of a boring person. This is quite long-winded and a little bit in depth, so this is not something you would want to watch as a recommended video. I don't know why you'd be here anyway. But with that introduction out of the way, without further ado, let's begin. So I'm currently going over digital internet language, and also be showcasing some tools that Chrome provides with and Google provides with their translation tools. So obviously, when you go onto a Chinese site, there's this pop-up that'll auto-recognize characters. If you're on a foreign site, if it's English or Chinese, and you can even set it to always translate Chinese. For now, I'll just turn it off. But it's a really cool tool that Chrome has integrated into the browser. And so this is digital language. This is one of the more older digital languages, digital language generally pertains to two things, which will be gaming and general casual texting and generally love. So one number that has a great meaning is 962464. And what that means is 9 and 6 are letters in Chinese pinyin. So 9 and 6 together is W and O, which is Wo, right? That means me. 2 and 4 is A and I, which is I. 6 and 4 is N and I, which is ni. So 962464 is Wo ai ni. And in Chinese, that means I love you, right? And this, I call it an older Chinese language is because it comes from the keypad numbers. Back in the day, when I think it got, even by the age of Palm Pre's, it got outdated. So that's around 2010. But this is the era of Blackberries, of Verizon flip phones, of Nokia. The keypads numbers used to correspond to letters. Now, I'm surprised that 1 doesn't count, but I guess it doesn't because there's only 26 letters. But each number on the keypad would correspond with various letters. So 2 would be ABC, 3 would be DEF, G would be GHI, and so on and so forth. 3 letters per number. Generally, you'd have a pound sign or a star symbol to do certain things, and exclamation marks and exclamation points. This is back in the day when emojis were still being invented, and Japanese private email servers were still around. So it's kind of cool. It's a reference to Tech Alter's video, private Japanese email servers. But yeah, it's a little bit of an archaic technology, kind of like to deal with rotary phones and having to dial the way rotary phones dial in numbers. The wall phones back in the day when you still had to connect with the landline, and then the whole house would be on one landline. Nowadays, technology has advanced a lot more, and a lot of these technologies are being phased out. But it's a cool thing to archive. The next page is 1509, and I think it's still auto-translating. I'm going to show off the Google extension of Google Translate. The nice thing about that tool is that it'll do it on command. So just in case, for whatever reason, the site can't pick up a foreign language, you can use that tool to translate. The interface is a little bit on the older side, but it's still quite useful. I'm going to default to this one just because it's more convenient and just set to always translate. So 1509 is some of the more contemporary internet languages. I'll go over what that means in a little bit, but 1509 generally means something along the lines of you and me or something. I don't quite remember, but I'll definitely go over it in a little bit. Yeah, so it just means a lot of it'll start to make more sense later when I cover what the numbers mean. So there's a video link to all this. Of course, it's in Chinese though, so I might link that if I can find that. It's also on Baidu. Very useful. That is just a short video on how the numbers work. But I don't want to steal content, so I'm just not gonna show that video off. So 0, I don't quite understand what that means. Why it means what it means, I just don't understand it, so I'm not going to cover that. But yeah, I don't really understand what 0 means in this digital network language. But 1 generally represents uniqueness, you, and starting point. So the reason why is the way that this digital language works is it works on homophones. So 1 in Chinese is yi, which is a homophone for ni and qi, right? So ni generally means you, and qi is just starting point or to rise. 2 in Chinese is r, which is a homophone or sounds very similar to love, which is I, right? The world of two people as well. 3 in Chinese is san. It's very similar. It's a homophone and it's very similar to the Chinese word seng, which generally can mean life or to live a life or to be born, right? So 生活, that's to life or to live, and then 出生, that's generally to be born, right? So that's why there's 2 lives. And then I don't know what miss is, but let's take a look at the Chinese, but I don't think I'll recognize it anyway. Nope, don't recognize it. 4 generally represents yes. 4 in Chinese is 四. Historically speaking, 四 would be a homophone for 死, to die, right? So it's an unlucky number. But in this case, 四 just means yes, and always. A 5 represents in Chinese is 五. It's a homophone. It's very similar to the Chinese word me, which is 我, and which is just represents I or me. 6 in Chinese is 六, and it's a homophone, and it sounds very similar to smoothness and walking, which in Chinese the term is 流, which also means to flow as well. 7, the Chinese number is qi, and it's very similar. It's a homophone for please, getting up in anger. Please would be qing, right? Or yeah, qing. Getting up would be qi, and anger would be qi, right? So just various tones. 8 would be ba. 8 is a very fortunate number. It's a very lucky number, and generally it can mean a ba, which is with hand side symbol 提手旁. And then there's also other stuff. But historically, ba generally means 8 generally means very fortunate. It's a very lucky number. 4 is a very unlucky number, and in Chinese internet speak, it generally means to send, to say goodbye, and I think no as well. I haven't seen it used like that, but I guess 8 means no as well. I generally use 0 for no. And then 9 in Chinese is 九. There's a very specific Chinese character for that, and I say that because it also means representing a long time, which sounds very similar. It's a homophone, 九, but it's written very differently. One requires 2 strokes, the other 3. But yeah, they're two very different characters, meaning 2 different things. But yeah, 九 generally means long time, jest, or ask. So yeah, there's a cool video on that. Maybe if I could pull it up, I'll put a link, but it's all Chinese. And then I'll just go over some cool terms that I've seen on this site. I'll just go over some of the ones that I kind of recognize. So 0457 is 0457. So 4 is 4 is R is 57 is sounds like the Chinese term for wife, which is 妻子, right? So 0457 is you are my wife. I thought it would be I guess it just means you are my wife. I don't know why ni is 0, but I guess that's what it is. I thought it would be e, right? Because e and ni. So I thought it would be 1 of 457, but I guess 0457 works. 04567 means you are my old wife. 0457 5 is I, 67 is 妻子, right? And some people might think that's insulting, but no, it can generally mean old. Generally is also a sign of respect as well. And just said, you've been with me for a long time, and then yeah, there's very specific cases in where you use that. 0456 0456 means you are mine. 4 is 是, and then 5 is are or is, and then 6 is yeah. I don't quite understand that, but sometimes that makes sense, sometimes they don't. Yeah, so 65 is forgive me. It sounds familiar, but I can't recognize why. 748, you'll see this multiple times. 748 means going. 7 is 七四八, right? And then which sounds like 去死吧, right? So go and die. That's pretty funny. There's plenty more. Some very cute ones as well. 2514。So yeah, so if you see any of these numbers, they're just really cool. 505 is SOS because the fives look like S's. 520 is 我爱你. So 520 is 520. So I love you. And then some very cute, very, very cute stuff. 530. So 我想你. Oh, okay. So 3 can be 想. And then it's really, really, really cool how they really digitized this language as well. So yeah, that's awesome. So that's the love language that that can be represented with numbers. Now we go on to the internet speak. This is more gaming terms. A little bit of explicivity and profanities, but that'll actually be on the Wikipedia site. I don't know why, but Wikipedia is always a little bit more profane, explicit. But yeah. So I'm gonna go over some of the references I referred to earlier, which is 6666 in a previous video. So 6666 I originally thought was the devil's number, right? Which bring to mind Reagan's 666, the devil's number. But no, 6666. I have to explain a little bit. You'll often see 6666 in video bullet tags. A video bullet tag is when you're watching a video, specifically gaming videos. There will be streams of lines of text and numbers, Chinese text and numbers going across the screen, just to show that there are other people watching with you and you can interact with the community. Think of it as a live chat, but instead of having a chat on the sidebar, you have it on the screen. Now, a number you'll often see is 6666, which is generally means something to the effect of to have god level skill, to kind of in a sense of, I think it's Madonna, or give me one quick second because I want to get this right. Maradona, hand of God. It's kind of like that. It's like just, it means to be very good at it. It's almost like the hand of God, but for video games, right? So 66 means remember how I said it was a homophone? 6666 is a homophone for sung, right? And so a string of sixes just generally means powerful, just like a string of eights generally means having wealth. Ronnie Chen did a funny video on how much Chinese people love wealth, and they even have a god of wealth, which is all true, and it's very funny. So yeah, so here are some of the internet terms, what some people might call elite speak and whatnot, and both English. It kind of seems normal. I'll go over some English ones that web novel readers and other people may be familiar with. Novel readers may be familiar if you read LMS or you've heard of it. japtm generally means just trash loot. That comes from LMS. Grass Porridge Group just generally means just basic users. For music, I think the term would be stands, right? For BTS. In Chinese, it would be noodles or fengsi, which would mean mindless fans. Because it generally means to have no brain. Yeah, it's kind of funny because in English, to have a good noodle means to have a brain. In Chinese, to be a noodle is to be a mindless fan. It's a very specific type of like rice noodle called fengsi, but those are also a term for brainless fans. So obviously they cover digital numbers here as well, but I'll cover some really cool ones that I found online. So chopping wood, 砍木, is a term in reference to another video on something. Let me try and find it. Is a reference to a video on someone who's not willing to learn. Yeah. 748 is again 去死吧, right? Go to hell. Oh, this character's fun. So this is because Chinese characters are pictographs. Sometimes you can use these Chinese characters in emoji. This is the most famous one. It's called jiong. I don't quite remember what that means, but I just know that in Chinese internet speak, it generally means helpless, to be worried, or to be surprised, just because that's what the face looks like. It's just the special character emoji. But Chinese also use emojis as well. Xiaoqiang, yeah, obviously. When I saw that, I was reminded of how like the purple eggplant in emojis means something in English as well. TMD, this is special. The reason why is because I don't think this is a term that's used a lot, but in Chinese it's called tamada. Yeah, I feel a sense of detachment from actually saying these words because it actually doesn't feel like a curse word. It's not very well used, and I haven't heard it in real life, so I guess it's thing. But yeah, generally that's what it's short for. I'm not gonna say profane in English because I'm just not a fan of profane language, but I feel it's a certain sense of attachment when it's said in a foreign language. Still kind of hesitant though. PM is short message. Don't know why. In English, it's private message. 3Q, 3Q in Chinese is 三. 3 in Chinese is 三, and then Q is Q, right? With Chinese accent or thing, 3Q sounds like thank you, obviously. Other cool ones would be XB is pretty funny. XB stands for 学霸, and that's a very cool term because 学霸 actually refers to a type of person, a specific type of person who is at the top of their class and actively makes it harder for their peers. Now, the term is kind of loose, right? There are certain people who are geniuses that make the class harder. But you know, with Chinese classes, sometimes most of the time, I think they're graded on a curve, or at least back then they used to be graded on a curve. I don't know about now, but there are a certain group of people that, you know, good for them. They're like they're really smart, or they work really hard to get a good grade. But sometimes they make class a little difficult for their peers and others, and so they have a special term for that called 学霸. Like, you know, if everyone could do that, I think most people would. But you know, just because you can't, they came up with that term for people who work too hard. Good for them, but at the same time, you know, it's kind of difficult for everyone else. So yeah, it's an admirable spirit to want to be the best, but you know, they have a special term for that. Obviously there's the famous term noob. Lag, I don't know why it's called card machine, I don't know. And you get to some of the English gaming terms like GTG, TTYL, BFF, right? Gotta go, talk to you later, and best friends forever. Very famous ones, GF and BF. And then I really like LZ. In English, it would be abbreviated to Lao Zhu. Lao Zhu, I think is what it is. Which is just like refers to the poster to themselves, right? It said this learned master, or this young master, which is, you know, web novel reference, or just this really smart guy. It's just a funny cultural reference. And some of the more in-depth ones would be, I remember soy sauce means something, but that's a more literary reference, to serve soy sauce or something. Let's see here. NB would be one. 牛逼, right? That's generally what that means. I think that's on the Wikipedia one. I'll probably search it up. 牛逼 generally means someone who's really powerful, really good. 牛 is the Chinese character for cow, and 逼 I think is just comparison, and it just means really powerful, kind of like ace or like top dog or something. So here's another reference. Cao, where is it? Yeah, Cao Ni Ma. So that's one of the references I included last time besides 666, which is Cao Ni Ma. And generally, it's a homophone for F, your mother. But yeah, it's just a term to mock someone, generally speaking. So yeah, I think that's most of it. I'll go down my list of terms. That's about it. There's two other ones actually. One is water. Water generally means meaningless, right? Liu is or liu shui, right? Water posts refer to posts of little use, and I've seen some very fascinating terms contain the word water. Liu can also mean liu shui bing, which is just a group. It's a special term for a group of spammers. It's a really fun word. I don't know if that's an actual term used, but I just remember encountering that. I thought, wow, that's really cool language usage. And 小黑屋, so black. So little black house. 小黑屋 generally refers to prison or just being banned or like unable to log in for a certain amount of time. So that's cool. Those are some cool Chinese terms. 233 I think is one. 233 means to laugh. I've never seen this really used. They said it's used in the 贴吧 form, but I haven't really seen it. But supposedly the more threes there are, the longer smile. Kind of makes sense, but I'm not 100% sure. This is a funny reference. If you're ugly, you must study more. There's a lot of cultural references, just like in English, there's also a lot of cultural references as well. And brother Wen generally means to quit gambling, from Baidu as well. Supposedly, I think this is from like a gambling TV series or whatnot. So yeah, if there's anything else, then no. But some cool English terms, gaming terms that people would use would be MT, which stands for main tank, aggro. There's some various Russian stuff that I'll cover in a little bit. I'll categorize that under foreign languages. The Konami code, which is a famous reference to Nintendo, which is left, left, right, right, up, up, down, down, BA. That's a famous cheat code. The famous Call of Duty press F to pay respects. That was Modern Warfare, but I'm pretty sure it's Call of Duty press F to pay respects. That became a meme. 4X games refers to Command, Conquer, Explore, and something else. Which used to be something else. There was a really cool history term on that. But yeah, that's another cool 4X games, which is just that type of strategy game. AOE, which is area of effect. To camp, to grind, to lag, to loot. Right, those are all gaming terms. MP stands for mana pool. NPC stands for non-playable character. Pwn, PWN, or Rekt, REKT. Those are special gaming terms. I really enjoyed the gaming term Salt. F2P is free to play and loot boxes. So those are just some English gaming terms that we use that that may not seem familiar. Some other ones would be cheese, right? To almost like to cheat or do something that's like not as intended. To nerf, a reference to nerf guns. And just how like the bullets are so soft that it means to make something weaker. And BM, which stands for bad manners. I encountered BM on Hearthstone actually, and then you can see some of that stuff on the score on esports. They cover some of that stuff. Some other terms that the score on esports covered was it's Russian, called I think cyka blyat. I don't I As I said, I'm not Russian, so I don't really know Russian pronunciation, but cyka and whatnot means certain things. Rush B is I think a CS:GO term. Filipino would be lakad, matatatag, which just means like to stand proudly or something. And those are just some cool gaming terms as well. Now, that's most of it for internet speak. I'm gonna see if I missed anything in particular, but I think that's most of it. And so here's the Chinese, the Wikipedia. It's definitely much more explicit. I'm not gonna lie, very, very explicit, kind of profane. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, no. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can like stay out of this but there's NB you'll be right. That's funny. TX is Tencent. Cool. Um, oh, this is funny. So TMD, besides the F word, it also means the U.S. Theater Missile Defense, which I found hilarious that they put that on the Wikipedia. Um, yeah, so obviously there's some references there and whatnot, and that's cool. So yeah, that's the Wikipedia. Much more explicit. Whoa, that's hilarious. Um, yeah. So yeah, the internet. This is more of a language article on just internet language. If you're interested in whatnot. And some other digital language terms that I also encountered over the course of just reading and whatnot is station B, Bizan. And what Bizan is, it actually stands for Bilibili, which is a Chinese video and streaming site, kind of like YouTube, Google's YouTube, but it's China's famous ones. And this is the Chinese characters. Now I'll quickly go over it because I did it on my first recording, which is it's really cool. This is the Chinese. This is the anime characterization of these internet sites, and because of course it's Japan. Yeah, so the most of these these anime characterizations generally anime character girls are for internet browsers and whatnot. And of course, it originated from Japan. At least I remember reading a manga about it called like I think it was like Internet Explorer or something is sad, or Internet Explorer wants friends or something. And yeah, obviously it was the Japanese that invented these web avatars for each avatar, for each browser. The first one would be Internet Explorer, which because of its lack of users is generally characterized as sad, a little bit airheaded and whatnot. You have Chrome, which can be either super scary because they're so big, they're really researched, or it's off doing its own thing and it's just super like laggy and whatnot. It's just a lot of like cultural references to Chrome browser. And Firefox, which is Mozilla Firefox, is generally just on the chiller side. They're not as active. They're generally friends with Internet Explorer and Think, because Chrome is like one of the largest market shares. I think off the top of my head it'd be like 62%. Firefox is maybe like 20, and then everyone else is like something else. But that's just for Western. I know in China, I think the biggest one, I don't think it's Chrome. I think it's like, it would be the How 63 browser, 360 browser. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they have a separate browser or a separate internet browser. I don't, but they might use Chrome nowadays. And I don't remember if opera exists, but at this point they probably do have a character for her or it. I don't know what the proper term is, but we'll just go with it for now because they're digital avatars for browsers. So this is the Bilibili avatar, and it's hilarious. I remember encountering another funny one which just said Earth Chan is not flat, and the hills and flatness debate. I'm not gonna go down that route because it's a little bit of a degeneracy, and I want to keep this video on the more informative side if possible. But yeah, you guys are welcome to argue that in the comments and whatnot. But that's cool. So Bilibili has their own web avatar or internet avatar. Some other cool terms that I've encountered would be M Guo, Yi Guo, Y Guo, Y Guo, Y Guo, F Guo, D Guo, R Guo. And so what these means are M country, E country, Y country, F country, D country, and R country. So that's a reference to those are shorthand for various countries' names. 美国 in Chinese is 美国, the beautiful country, the prosperous country, the country of abundance, right? Or I've even seen 米国, rice country, or maybe that's just machine translation. But country M just is the U.S. because the first letter of the pinyin of the word 美国 is M. The country E is Russia because the term for Russia is 俄罗斯, and the first pinyin letter of 俄罗斯 is E. Britain is 英国, the first letter, the pinyin of the first letter of 英国 is Y. 法国, the pinyin of the first letter of 法国 is F. And so on and so forth. Germany is 德国, so that's D. Japan is 日本. They're not a guo, they're called 日本 for various historical reasons. And then Thailand is 泰国, so which is T. And so there's that. And then they actually explicitly state that below right here. Oh wow, I didn't even know China was Z, 中国. And then another just cool digital reference would be China is known for being three things. The digital avatars would be the most famous one. Chinese like to see themselves as dragons, to the era of the first emperor Qin Shi Huang. The Chinese flag historically has been the flag of the dragon. That's the old one. The Qing dynasty had the dragon. And then recently it's been characterized as a tortoise, right? Just due to its slow nature and transitioning to the industrial era. And then somewhere along the lines, even on the internet, there's this bunny thing, bunny avatar that China likes to characterize themselves as and identify with. And I think it was because it was like some president or something that said, China is like a bunny. It's unassuming and it'll just eat grass in the background or something. But one of the Chinese avatars, besides being a dragon and a tortoise, old, wise, big, scary, is also a rabbit. And I think that's also hilarious and kind of cute as well. The Chinese avatar is a rabbit. Very, very interesting stuff. So yeah, it's I think there was another quote. I think it was by a Chinese sympathizer by a Western one that said, don't wake up China, otherwise you'll shake the world or something. But it's cool, yeah. And that pretty much wraps it up for Chinese internet language and cultural references. So yeah, thanks for watching.